What's a scary or disturbing fact that would probably keep most people awake at night? You could have a brain aneurysm with zero symptoms any day. It could rupture and kill you from significant blood loss. Happened to my mom's friend right in front of her. The seemingly perfectly healthy woman died at 40 without warning during a work trip and while having drinks with her friends. 1 second she was laughing. The next second she was on the ground. Never woke up again. My poor mom was the one that had to call her husband and kids. Happened to my grandmother who was in perfect health. Happened to a classmate from high school at 22. Nicest guy ever. Fell asleep on his couch at home and died. Edit. Well, thank you for the gold. This is for you, Jeff. Hope you continue to make people smile wherever you are. The serial killer Richard Chase would try random houses to break into. If the door was unlocked, he saw it as being an invitation. If it was unlocked, he saw it as a sign that he was unwelcome. You just made me double check. My front door was unlocked. When I was younger, I was in my room one time, home alone. I heard our front door open and someone come inside, while everyone was out. Hours later, Every comes home. I asked. No one had stopped by. It always made me very uncomfortable. I only really heard the sound of them coming in, not leaving. I was burgled a few years ago. It was about 2 a.m. and I was sat at my computer wearing full headphones and an Oculus Rift headset. Home alone. It's only when I took it all off and went to get a drink that I saw all my downstairs doors were wide open, as well as the rear exit door. It still freaks me out to think someone could have been stood right behind me, and I would have had no idea. When swimming in stagnant water, you could inhale an amoeba which eats its way through your nose and then eats your brainstem. You can get a flesh-eating amoeba from a water park. Edit. Sorry, not sure about flesh. I meant brain. There is a spider that has fangs so powerful that it can bite through a leather boot. It usually attacks multiple times and you have to grab it and pry it off of you. It is also incredibly deadly. Edit. I wrote it below here, but it's the Sydney funnel web spider. Because of its venom, it is the deadliest spider. Let me guess, it's from Australia. Yep. No, those are just junkie children from the train station. People who sleep less than 6 hours a night are at an increased risk to die prematurely. Thank God. My husband stays up late a lot, and he read this information recently. It was enough to put the fear of God in him for like 3 days, then he was back to all-nighters. Edit. But I like the irony that this information is what would keep people from sleeping. Lol. In child porn cases, someone has to actually watch the video beginning to end so they can testify about it in court to seal a conviction. That's gotta be the most mentally and emotionally stressing job ever. In a lot of police departments, they volunteer for the job. It's not assigned to somebody unwilling, and typically it's only given to people without children. I've been that guy. Kinda. Early 2000 I was working the abuse department at an ISP. 99% complaints was spam, port scanning, etc. But about 4 to 5 times a year I'd get a child porn complaint that one of our users was hosting a FTP site for distributing child porn. I'd have to go in, download a few files, look at them to confirm, then put them on a floppy disk, encrypt, and call the police. Fuck if I didn't see horrible shit. Some nights I didn't sleep too well. But then came a few days, weeks later, the newspaper article about the guy getting arrested. And that made it worth it. Edit. To specify, this was like 2000-2001. So early-ish days of the internet where broadband wasn't that widely available. Was starting to be. And a lot of dial-up people still. So most of what I found were still images or very small GIFs. Still not fun. Thanks for the awards. When an autopsy is performed, the organs are removed, weighed, sliced and placed into a plastic bag. This includes the brain and tongue. Once they're finished, they put everything together in the plastic bag and place it in the chest cavity. So when you're buried, your brain is actually in your chest. Super fun fact: embalming is not required by law in most states. Nor are those fancy, overpriced caskets, etc. The funeral industry in the US is a huge racket that preys on grieving folks. Please check out and consider a green burial. More and more natural cemeteries are being created every day. Why is the tongue removed? This bothers me more than anything else. So they can't scream, monsieur. It's estimated that there's somewhere around 25 to 50 serial killers that are active each year in the US. 1 per state. Nice. That's 49 for Florida and 1 for Alaska. The Pacific Northwest would like a word with you. The frontal lobotomy was performed with no anesthesia and it was an outpatient procedure. Even funner facts. 1. It was performed by sticking an ice pick in the tear duct, punching through the skull, and swishing it around in the brain tissue. 2. There was no way to gauge or predict its effectiveness because you were just swirling it around in brain tissue. And the funnest fact of all. 3. Because of number 2, patients were often kept awake and asked questions during the lobotomy to see when their mental performance behavior changed to determine when the lobotomy was done. ***edit with additional fun fact. ***the guy who invented and popularized it won a Nobel Prize. Well, that makes the end of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's sadder. Mike Wazowski nodding would be the same as him twerking. You fucking monster, delete your account. Many pandemics come in waves and more people died in the second wave of the Spanish flu than the first. The question was most people, not all people. Geez. It's been hypothesized that the subsequent waves were more deadly because the virus had mutated to cause the cytokine explosion, which COVID-19 already does in its current iteration. It's also been shown that the second wave had a W curve, which means it was killing healthy folk in their 20s and 30s. I swear these threads always pop up right before bed. Makes going to bed more exciting. There are a fair number of missing nuclear weapons. Edited to add, I certainly didn't expect this level of response. Thanks for the awards. For context, I used to work for a U.S. intelligence service on a project tasked with recovering these things. It was, simultaneously, the most boring and terrifying year and a half of my life. Pigs will eat humans if given the chance. So will tigers apparently. I will never financially recover from this. Cancer is extremely common. You likely have cancer right now. The only thing stopping you from going terminal are your immune system and more cancer. That's right. Cancer can get cancer that kills the cancer. I used the cancer to kill the cancer. They called me a madman. If an imploding star were to create a gamma ray burst, and that GRB were to hit the Earth, we'd never know it, because we'd simply cease to exist. Poof. Of all the many terrifying apocalypses listed in this thread, that one seems like the least scary. No warning, no time to panic, no suffering, just snuffed out of existence. Edit. As many people have pointed out, it might not be the quick, sudden end we all hoped for. I changed my mind. Give me a false vacuum apocalypse, please. The best part is because, by the time the light of said GRB arrive, the radioactive material that's following will arrive moments later. Or we become a planet of hulks. Waking up isn't guaranteed. I'd rather die in my sleep than in any other way, tbh. Edit. More than 5 ppl have replied with the Will Rogers quote, lol. It takes 22 pounds of pressure to pop a testicle. That sounds like a lot. Air pressure is 14 pounds per square inch, which is quite a lot. And this 22 psi is in addition to the 14 psi. It's not measured from a vacuum, monsieur. You're not gonna do it on accident. But you can definitely do it on purpose. Someday, one last person will remember you for the last time. And from that day forward, no one ever will. Not Mama Coco. On average, you will walk past 36 murderers in your lifetime. Hopefully the next time you do go past one, they'll say, no, not that one. too good looking. Back about 10 years ago I went to this pizza joint for lunch and this one guy brought a slice out to me. That night he stabbed and killed a guy. I'm just glad I didn't complain about my slice being a little cold. Could have been big trouble. So far, I've met at least 5. Went to school with a few that turned out to be murders. People getting rowdy at parties and ending badly. Or domestic violence incidents. I met one when he came into my work and asked for an application, and then returned it the next day. A few weeks later he was arrested because he killed his dad. My cousin and uncle are murders. My uncle has since died, but he got away with a couple murders, and my cousin was involved in my father's murder. I'm only 25. I can't imagine how many more I'll actually talk to. Edit. A friend of mine was killed in January too. And a friend's brother was just found killed last week. Life is tough here. You probably already escaped death or serious injury in your lifetime by simply being in the right place at the right time. One time I was sick at home for about 3 weeks. At some point my throat hurt so much that eating bread without crust and Nutella is painful enough to make me cry. We call our doctor to visit. About half an hour and he says, when I leave you guys go to the hospital. Not 10 minutes after. Not even 5 minutes. When I leave you do too. Ended up staying in the hospital for 10 days with blood poisoning and streptococcus. Doctor told me if I were a day later I'd probably be dead. In that they'd called around one of the best hospitals in our country because they had no clue what to do with me. This was before my diagnosis. You are far more likely to be murdered by someone you know than a stranger. Ha, joke's on you. I don't know anyone. You can actually wake up during surgery. But the worst part is that you are still paralyzed. So you can feel everything what they do to you but you can't signal to them that you are conscious. This is one of my worst fears. Actually, if a sedative wears off but a paralytic does not, the only thing you can do is cry. We were taught in school that if your sedated patient cries you done messed up and you need to resedate right away. Addition. In the context of what I was taught paralyzation, there is one warning sign: sedation is wearing off. When watching the patient's CO2 levels while they're breathing, the waveform the monitor creates will get a notch on it from the patient starting to breath against the ventilations they're being given. You have mites in your eyelashes. Oh, I know all about this. Ever since I was a kid, I have had the sensation that an eyelash has dropped into my eye. I am always digging into my eye to get out the eyelashes or crud or whatever. Also my face is itchy. Allergy to dust mites, mold, house dust, trees, grass, tobacco, etc. So I live with a continually itchy nose. So in my 40s, my optometrist tells me I have Demodex in my eyelashes. She can tell by looking with a huge lens or something. She gets me these eye wipes with tea tree oil. Lofi. Another one is Clearadex. The itch disappears after 30 years of itching. So I'm pretty much ecstatic. I try them on the rest of my face. Itch and redness are gone. You can't use straight tea tree oil. It's too strong. But it kills Demodex, whereas a lot of things don't. They live elsewhere on your body, so I don't think you can kill them all. So I have to use my eye wipes a few times a week. Apparently Demodex are part of normal facial flora, but they become overnumerous in some people. Their poop causes irritation. They are associated with rosacea, but it's not a 100% researched thing yet. What are these eye wipes called? I got to know. I'm always itchy like this too. The one that I remember most often is this one. Either we are completely alone in this universe, or we are not. Crazy to think about, but cool either way. What's really cool is dark forest theory. You know how when there's trouble in the woods all the birds and animals go quiet? Alien races are out there, but they're maintaining total radio silence. There's no way to know if another species wants to harm you. The only way to ensure your own species' survival is to destroy any other species you encounter immediately. SSSSHHH. Radio silence could very well mean trouble is happening somewhere in our forest and we will not Know until it's too late. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.